Hey, you need some R&R. You need some R&R. You need some R&R. You need some R&R.
Radio, RaNdOmNeSs, RaNdOmNeSs.
Put out, or is it video as well? Should I be conscious?
It's both. It's both.
But
we have a YouTube channel, so we'll post the video. Unless you guys don't want, we can just post the audio of it on YouTube.
I mean, it's up to it's your house, Alex. I'm cool with the audio and video.
Yeah, it's fine. I just wanted to be aware that we're on camera and stuff.
So we're not like scratching our face.
Yeah. So the Skype is recording the call, and then typically what we do is post that to YouTube as the video, and then also upload it to. We use Anchor FM for the podcast, which they distribute it out to Apple and what's the other one? Major one.
Google or iTunes. No.
iTunes. All the Spotify is what I'm thinking of. All the major ones and any smaller ones, and then we also usually post our SoundCloud as well, just to have another. We're still kind of new on it. This is actually, I think overall this is probably only the 15th video we did. But we just kind of like you guys getting out there. And you know what I want to say before we really get started, because I find it's very, very interesting that you're wearing a Queensryche t-shirt, because when you talk about your I could hear in some of your at least lyrics and some of the ways you guys sound lyrically when the words and the vocals, and especially like kind of the music, I heard some Queensryche in there. So I don't know if that's by design, but I was like, man, I wonder if these guys even know who Queensryche is.
Yeah.
Older band.
Yeah, thanks. I love them, dude. That definitely like lyrically, because like Alex wrote the lyrics to Break the Cycle, and then I wrote most of the lyrics to Long Goodbye and God to No One, but Alex, since he's a singer, he edited them and he added in bits, to extend it and stuff. But for God to No One, the Long Goodbye, actually, when we go live and we're recording, like Queensryche is one of the bands that lyrically I want to mix like Queensryche with like the emotions from Iron Maiden with like the aggression from like Megadeth and Metallica with a bit of like a social awareness from System of a Down and Queensryche, and then like the Queensryche and Pink Floyd. I love how they could talk about deep stuff, but then it also feels like if you're not paying attention in the lyrics, it can feel like a pop song kind of. And and then Al, so and then Van Halen, was
Eddie is the GOAT.
Yeah, he's the greatest.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, I was really sad when he passed. I actually
Me too.
I talked about that in a couple episodes back. Like as far as like celebrity deaths and stuff like that, they usually just kind of, come and go for me a little bit. But Eddie hit me hard.
Yeah, I'm getting goosebumps.
It did for me too. I didn't even know. Like I hadn't played guitar in a few actually. I've been like busy with some other stuff. And I just cranked my amp and started playing Panama, and in the middle of Panama I was crying. I was like,
dude,
because I don't know, it's just kind of like, sometimes you don't realize how, I know he's important to me, but like I don't usually cry for someone I don't know. Like,
exactly.
I
was texting my sister. I was like, I don't know why this is like affecting me so, but it was just kind of like you said, just the impact. I mean, for me, I got into Van Halen, as a kid, because my older brother's 10 years older than me, and so he was in high school listening to that type of music. So I just, for early age, 5, 6, 7 or whatever, I was just this kid listening to Van Halen. So and just kind of listening to for 30, 40 years, it's like it's just amazing how much of an impact it hits.
Yeah, and Van Halen's one of those bands, man. Like, you hear the music and instantly I was realizing this the other day. It's one of the only bands that I think I listen to where it's just pure joy as soon as I start listening to it.
Yeah.
It's like happy, like good vibe.
That is true. They are very fun.
Yeah, it's like not even just lyrically, you just feel it in the music. Like, I was watching an interview with Sebastian Bach, and he was saying, like, you know, back then, if you could just look at somebody and say Van Halen and they know what you meant, you know, because it was just like a good time. That's what Van Halen meant. It was synonymous with just a good time.
Yeah.
And dude, earlier this year, Neil Peart in January, that devastated me. Like when Neil Peart passed away, I was crying when I was listening to 2112. I was like, oh man. And also, since Neil Peart's lyrics, a lot of them like After Image, and they dealt with like, you know, mortality and stuff. So I couldn't, and like how like when someone's gone, it's like they're only a memory. I was like, I can't listen to this, man.
Right.
Neil, like you're bumming me out.
Right.
And then Martin Birch too, who was a producer. You may not know him, but for us, that you know, he produced all the Iron Maiden albums in the '80s. He produced Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules, and he produced there she is, and he produced all the like Rainbow albums and stuff. He passed away recently too, this year, so it's been a rough year for musicians. And when Eddie passed away, I texted my uncle after I texted Alex, letting him know. I was like, I texted my uncle. I'm like, we need to get Ozzy Osbourne, Elton John, Paul McCartney, and Martin Scorsese. I know Martin Scorsese is a musician, but they all need to be taken to like a safe for their protection because we can't lose any more legends this year.
Yeah.
Right. So let me. We're kind of into it already, but I didn't get you guys official kind of introduced to our audience. So it's Manalith.
Manalith,
yeah.
And Alex and Michael. So it's just you two guys?
Yes.
Yeah, right now, yeah.
And that's amazing to me, just listening to the 3 songs you guys have out. You never know it was just the 2 of you. So tell us how you guys like met, formed the band, how you did everything, at least.
Yeah. Well, we met in middle school, actually.
Yeah, we've been friends since like 7th grade.
Yeah, so Michael at first was a little apathetic to me, I remember, but
okay, let me explain that. So I was a bit of a nerdy kid, you know, like in 7th grade. I assumed everyone would just be an asshole, and I like the first time we hung out, I was wearing an AC/DC shirt, and you know, I was just in that mindset when you're getting bullied all the time.
We were like in fucking like some random class, right? Like
we were in drama.
Yeah, we were in like this random acting class, like.
Really?
He's like, and I remember the first time we interacted, he was like, "Yeah, AC/DC," because I was over and I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah, I like to think I'm a nice guy, even at that age. So like, I was kind of like, oh, dude, cool, you like AC/DC and stuff, and he was like, all right, how long is it gonna be till this guy's gonna bully me?
Yeah,
like,
that's kind of. But then after a few weeks, we realized we're super cool, and I introduced him. You were coming back from.
Yeah. I had just moved back from Brazil, so I was born here and stuff, but when my parents got divorced, my parents are Brazilian. So my mom took us to Brazil for like 4 years. So I came back when I was 12, and that's when I met him in like 7th grade in like drama class out of all classes.
I am a drama queen.
I mean, writing the album was a little drama queen. No,
yeah, and then like I started playing guitar around that time. He had already been playing guitar. For all throughout like middle school and high school, we would jam, we'd hang out and stuff, and we had like a group of friends who we still all know. And then we both went to college. He went to Berkeley. My dad passed away. I stayed here. My dad passed away my last year of high school, so we sort of just went separate directions. And then when he came back from college, we were like, okay, so we're gonna do this, and we're like, fuck yeah. And and as for the production, like the songwriting, it's 50-50, but the production and how it sounds so good, that's all him. Like Alex busted his ass, and you know, he went to Berkeley for production, so it's like you know, the MIDI drums, the bass, and I mean, we both worked really hard, but like the getting it to sound that professional, I couldn't do that on my own, at least not right now by myself. So no, it's him. So
yeah, when it comes to like recording the album, I mean, we wanted to put some stuff out, so we sat down and we wrote like 2 or 3 songs over the course of like a few months, right? Like, actually,
dude, we actually wrote them kind of. It was only a couple months. Like, I mean, I think we got the main songs down, like, because you already wrote "Break the Cycle" and like "The Long Goodbye" and "God to No One." We wrote them pretty quickly. I think we were just not jamming as as we should. But
just because we were working and stuff too. I was still like, I saw I was still working.
Yeah, me too.
We were both working a lot.
2 jobs and.
So yeah, I mean, we wrote it pretty quickly, but it was over a long period of time just because of time constraints. But we wrote it and then arranged it as well as we could, and then I took the role of producer. I have we recorded in this room actually.
Yeah.
So I mean, I have some a little bit of sound foaming in here to just control like acoustics and stuff, but we just recorded in here, cranked my amps, and hoped our neighbors wouldn't complain.
Which they were cool. They didn't.
Yeah, we were respectful about it. We didn't record at midnight or something.
Yeah.
But so we recorded the guitars, and then I played bass on it as well and sang. And then the drums. We don't really have a drummer at the moment. We have a few.
In mind.
We have a few people in mind for the actual album because I want to get an actual, drummer's feel and performance on the album. It's important. But I did the drums myself of programming for the EP. I think it turned out pretty good.
It turned out really well. I mean, I was listening to it again last night at work just to listen to it again before our chat, and I was like, man, I couldn't. By that time, I knew you guys knew it was just the 2 of you, and it's like, so knowing that and going back and listening to it, to me, it was like I can't believe, because I was in a band back in the day too, and it was just 3 of us. But even for 3 of us, we didn't sound that good. We didn't put out any EP or anything that sounded that good. I was like, that is just amazing that it's just the 2 of them. So it was very, very well done.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for saying it's. I mean, Alex did a lot of the production, and the 2 of us working together. I remember when we were recording that, we both had such a drive, and we were both so excited. It was that weird combination of it being fun, but also not being fun at all. Because
I get well, we both get pretty intense, but when it came to the recording, I'm really intense. I'm really anal about things. So not necessarily anal. I just want to make sure, that we.
It's as good as it can.
Yeah,
be.
If we're, I made sure that we, a lot of bands nowadays record segmented, which is cool if they can learn the song and perform it live later. I don't see a problem, if you want to record it however you want to record it to get the best product on record so people listen to it. That's fine, but I wanted to make sure that we had since we don't have a drummer to play with and stuff, I wanted to make sure that we had a really fluid performance and that our performance had as little mistakes as possible, and we got a really good old school one take of us playing as if it was live. And then whatever we couldn't get just for time constraints, we punched in and.
But there wasn't really too many punch-ins, to be honest. I think most of the recordings are. I mean, you mixed it up, but
but there were moments with vocals, maybe a certain vocal part that my voice wasn't feeling up to shape on the day, or there was a part of a guitar solo that either me or Michael, we couldn't nail 100%. So I was just all right, let's do it again.
Yeah, no,
let's do it again.
I remember honestly though that was both. That's both of us.
Michael almost wanted to punch me at some
point.
No.
For
God to know one, I think.
No. That's definitely no. I didn't. When we were recording "Raise Your Flags," I think both of us were in a bad mood for this a demo for the album. But with "God to No One," both of them we I feel like we both had this thing where we'd look at each other and we'd both look and be one more. Then we do it and we look one more, and both of us would kind of want to be God damn it, let's stop. But then we'd be no, it has to be as good as we can make it, And when it's the 2 of us in a room together playing, and we also have a bit of because the music itself is aggressive for the most part, but also then when you add in that we're both it's hot as hell in here because we can't turn the fan on because that would mess. I think we got decent performances, and it's just I mean. What you hear on that EP is, well, for starters, it's just the beginning of what we want to do. But hopefully in the future we'll have so much more music out there. But it's also like you said it, and thank you by the way, because you said it sounded really good. But it's like that's like 10 years of us, learning our instruments and learning production and just trying to be as good as we can.
I mean, how long have you been playing guitar for?
I'm 26 now, so I started playing when I was like 12, 13, so...
Yeah, and I've been playing since I was 7, so...
Yeah, and you're 26 too, so...
Yeah, it's been almost 20 years for me.
Yeah, so and then with the... And then so that was fingers crossed, it's just the beginning of a long music career, but that was... It sounds so good because we had to work and learn so many years before that,
And production-wise, I mean... the next project we have is going to sound even better, I keep constantly learning, and also one thing about the EP, it was good, and I'm proud of it, but there are a few things that I listened to production wise, and I was like, yeah, I could have done that better if I gave myself a little more time. But we were just both so excited to release something finally, and we didn't want to keep delaying things. Yeah. So we're just fuck it, all right, we're releasing it. It's good.
It's a good feeling to be this is our music, I feel like a lot of creative people can relate to that when you have something that you want to share, but it's not ready yet. It's not ready yet. And we're just screw it, it's out there.
On that point, me and Michael are yin and yang. I'm too patient, and Michael is sometimes he rushes things. Yeah. So we balance each other out. So
yeah, we Alex is a perfectionist, so he'll hold back, and then I'm the one pushing, being let's do it, let's get it out, and it works well. I think that our writing, that's a good reason why we managed to write.
It's a common thing with artists, and I'm super exaggerated on it. It's super self-critical,
Yeah.
So
you guys officially started in 2019?
Yeah, March 2019ish, March, January, I think.
Yeah, it was at the beginning of the year or something. We were talking I actually remember we the when we decided that we wanted to do it was we were at a bar,
probably ale house.
Yeah, we were at a bar near his place, and then he was like, dude, we were just talking about life, and he was saying, we just decided at that moment, it came up, and we're like, yeah, fuck it, let's start writing music. So I had a little bit of a fallback with music for a little bit after college, so we could have started earlier, but I was kind of not wanting to do it at the time. So
I had something similar to myself too, where you get out into the real world and you kind of have to quote unquote grow up, and for a while too. I mean, as much as we love metal, and I love metal too, there were some. As a kid, I didn't realize there were certain things in the music community. I was I'm not a big fan of certain aspects, and then growing up and stuff. And so for a few years, I thought maybe I don't want to be a musician, and then I realized, well, I definitely don't want to be I don't want to. No, and I realized no, I have to, because I can't not. And I think Alex kind of did something similar too, where it's if you get burned out, no, man, this is in me, and so I'm always going to do it in one form or another. And I think too with us. Because we were friends for a long time too, but we never really jammed too much because we would, but it was I was still learning when he had been already playing for a long time. So another big thing that managed us to get this band going is when we both kind of realized I guess we thought we had different visions, but when we sat down, we were no, this is kind of the vision we have. We don't want to do just the same old kind of music. We want to mix the old with the new, and we want to kind of take the heavy aggressive music we love, but maybe package it in a way that people who think they don't like metal will still like it. And once we were and we want to have no rules that are you have to do this, be like Rush or Queen or Led Zeppelin, where it's anything goes. Once we both realized we'll do that, then that's when we were okay, let's do this. And the first song we wrote was A Long Goodbye, and it just luckily now we have a really good writing partnership, and that's awesome. At least it's fun for us, and hopefully it's fun to listen to.
How'd you decide on the name?
Funny story with that. You want to tell, or should I?
Yeah, I don't remember who it was, but
I said Manalith first.
Okay, I don't know if that's true, but
it is true. I thought of Manalith.
I think so.
I thought of Manalith.
I thought it sounded cool, but I thought it sounded
a bit basic.
Yeah, like I thought it sounded like, I don't know, it just sounded generic to me.
Uh-huh.
But I like the idea of like a strong standing figure, you know, music. And I was watching 2001: A Space Odyssey, so I was like, oh, the Monolith.
Yeah, so I thought it sounded cool, but then I was like, I remember us talking about like stuff that we liked. You know, one of the things that we like is kind of like more of like a ambiguous, like mysterious type vibe. Like, you know, Zeppelin, for example, is a band that kind of had this like mystical thing about their image and like the imagery that they conveyed in their music and
like
their album covers and stuff. And
hell yeah,
that's something we liked. And then I thought about like the concept of mana, you know, like Michael, I'm a nerd as well. And,
dude, of course we're friggin' nerds, man.
But like just like mana, you know, like in video games or like just in like folklore and stuff, it's like a spiritual thing, like a magical power.
You gotta get those one-ups, man.
Like in, you know, a lot of like ancient cultures, like Polynesian culture and stuff, you know, mana is a huge thing. So I was like, what if we just replace like we make it Manalith instead of Monolith? And then I remembered I have like a lot of nerdy friends too, and
of course
played like the card game Magic the Gathering. Are you familiar?
Yeah.
They have a card called Manalith. And I was like, oh shit, I didn't remember that, but yeah, so like it's kind of like that's kind of the how the name came up, and you know, it's just like big, like just a big spiritual power, like moving you through music type thing is the concept of the name. But
yeah, and it can kind of be mysterious, but also maybe threatening, but also happy.
Yeah,
and,
it's just the idea of something big and monumental that like moves you through like, you know, that like kind of spiritual energy of music.
And also
that's how I think of it, at least.
Yeah, and I think of it too in that sense, and also that like the name Manalith is bigger than either of us, because it's like, you know, all of us, and when we get more musicians here, will be you know, for bass and drums, will be all of us coming together to create something bigger than us. And I didn't when I first heard it, I wasn't like, oh, I thought like, that it didn't sink in, but then after I heard it a few times, I was like, no, I actually really like the name. And you know, she's cute. But yeah.
So speaking of artwork, who did design the cover?
Both of us, kind of. It was him on his computer here. But.
Yeah, we just like we found you know, we found an image that we really liked that we could use, and we like just like altered it a bit, and I made the logo, and we kind of just put it together.
Yeah. I love I love like I'm a total not Anglophile Irish, like I love Irish culture and stuff. So when we saw the grassy hill, and it kind of had that mystical vibe of like he was talking about like Led Zeppelin and stuff. So we got that, and we just sort of edited it on a program here. And dude, I was happy when he made the logo too. I was like, oh man, that's sick. He was like, dude, check it out, I have a logo. I was like, nice.
Yeah. So it was like the EP was really just
the two of us,
all about do it yourself.
Yeah.
This next for our next endeavor, the album, we're gonna probably get more people involved with that stuff, like get somebody to make a more polished version of that logo, and you know, like, you know, just not do it all ourselves. But we might get somebody to master the album as well, so it's not all on me on that mixing process and stuff.
Yeah.
Have a fresh pair of ears. It's always good. Yeah, so there's a few things we're gonna do differently on the next musical releases we have, and it's gonna result in something even better, I think. So.
Yeah, we're both so hyped because I think the songs we've been working on, we're gonna re-record 3 songs for the EP, and then we'll have 7 new songs. And we finished writing them all, and all the lyrics and stuff are done. You know, some of the solos and some of the specifics we gotta work on, but I'm so hyped for these songs, man. Like I don't think there's a bad one in the bunch, and you know, I think it's just the beginning though, because there's always more we want to do. But you know, I'm really hyped for these songs.
Yeah,
that's kind of where the title for the EP came out, was Stepping Stones for it's just kind of like just the beginning, or
exactly.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's like our first step forward towards, you know, hopefully a really long journey. So Yeah, that was pretty much just why the EP is called that.
Yeah,
It's like our first steps, our first releases, our first everything, honestly.
Yeah, and then we figured we can call the album Manalith, so we don't need to come up with another name. We didn't just want to call it the Manalith, demo or something. So we figured Stones was good.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what's behind the name. Yeah.
Yeah. But,
I'm looking forward to newer stuff, man. Hopefully this COVID stuff.
Yeah, we wanted it to be out sometime this year, but 2020 does. And made it hard to our drummer, one of the drummers we have in mind, who's up in Canada. He's all the studios are closed up there, and just one thing after another. Yeah, it just started. So
because we have all the music, like we have we have 7-8 songs recorded, like demo wise, just guitar parts and vocals.
Yeah.
Ready to go for a drummer. The way we're doing it for this next part, since we can't be together, if we go with this drummer, is we're just sending it to him and he's playing to us, and then we're gonna re-record guitars over him as if we were playing with him in the room.
Yeah,
get more of that vibe. So that's the closest way I could think of making it sound like we were playing together in a room. And there's bands that have done stuff like that even before all the technology nowadays, which I think is insane. My friend was telling me about this some sort of like, I think, punk band or something, that the 2 or 3 band members were like in separate states and before like the internet, and they were like sending like tapes to each other through mail to write their music, and I was like, shit, that must have been crazy.
Yeah,
that's one of the advantages, right? Like
the internet. Yeah.
If I didn't grow up at this time, I probably wouldn't be able to produce my own album.
Oh no, definitely not, bro. Because all this stuff costs like $100,000.
Yeah, there's so much accessible gear nowadays to record. Yeah. So like back then, like if you couldn't have access to a studio, you couldn't put anything professional out. And now, to be honest, most music is recorded in a bedroom or a room in somebody's house. Like you really don't need. Obviously, you'll be able to tell when something is made with a lot of money backing it, but sometimes you can't. Like,
what was it, Periphery's first album, or Protest the Heroes' first album?
Yeah, a lot of like metal bands nowadays, they self-produce their stuff, but like even big songs like pop stuff, like in the top 40, like I think it was Childish Gambino's Redbone or something. Like, I watched a video with their producer, I forget his name right now, but he recorded that in his bedroom, and like that thing was everywhere. I remember working and having to hear that song every day. It's a good song, but
there's something too about like the internet age. When I thought for a while, like a few years ago, where like, oh, maybe I don't want to be a musician, because I was comparing myself to like all the classic bands who by the time they were like 23, they already had a bunch of albums out and stuff. But then a band that was kind of in how you were saying how Van Halen is just pure fun. This band Ninja Sex Party, I would see interviews with them. If you're not aware, it's like a parody band. Dan Avedon is the singer, and like he just talked about how like I didn't really get my break until I was about 29, 30, and it's because of the internet just with the internet and with that sort of thing of like there's an audience for everything, and we can connect to them through this, so it's pretty encouraging. When people say like stuff like, oh, I want to go back to the old days, I'm just like, no, that's I like living in the internet age where it's we don't have anyone coming in being like, you can't have a song called The Long Goodbye, that's too depressing. If you want us to put your music out, you're gonna have to play ball or whatever. It's just the two of us, and we're like, yeah, whatever, we can do whatever we want, because whatever.
More control.
Yeah.
So most of your influences, older bands.
Actually, we got a ton of influences. This is by no means a definitive list.
I'll let him start. Don't read off. all your 1,000 bands that
No.
you
It's just so a lot of them are older, but we also have a lot of newer ones. So this is just a super short list. I jotted down because I knew this question would come up, and I was like, I left out a ton of bands here, but just off the top of my head, a lot are older, but there's some newer ones like Rush, AC/DC, System of a Down, Genesis, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Thank You Scientists, Dream Theater, Haken, Angra, which he got me into, Queen, Queensryche, Merciful Fate, Megadeth, Holy Grail, Circus Maximus, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, Ghost, Alter Bridge, Deep Purple, King Crimson, Yngwie Malmsteen, Heart, Foreigner, Rainbow, The Beatles, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, Candlemass, Metal Church, Armored Saint, Metallica, Jeff and Michael Dana, who do classic music. Howard Shore composed the music for The Lord of the Rings, which I love, and I love classical music. Halloween, Death Clock, and that's barely scratching the surface, and he's really into like Periphery and
I mean, bands. In terms of like really hard influences, a lot of him he's mentioned, but like Van Halen, definitely a huge influence on me. Iron Maiden, I mean, Bruce Dickinson is my favorite vocalist, period.
He's amazing.
I mean, definitely him, and then Freddie Mercury. Like they're my two vocal idols, and I'll even never touch their feet. Like they're just that great. They're legendary, and
Chris Cornell too.
That's probably you heard Queensryche in the vocals. It was probably Bruce Dickinson. They kind of have like similar vocal style.
Yeah.
But like that, Bruce Dickinson is somebody that's had Iron Maiden in general. Has had a huge impact on me. And I discovered them when I was in Brazil, and Brazil is crazy about Iron Maiden.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, if you watch the Rock in Rios, like, it's insane. Like, even I think Iron Maiden said, like, it's the craziest crowd they have, like, in the world.
And they're all singing along to the lyrics.
Yeah, they're like,
English,
I don't know how the
Portuguese.
fuck they don't speak English, and they're still singing all of our intricate, historical, nerdy lyrics. Like,
dude, I saw an interview with King Diamond from Merciful Fate, and Merciful Fate a lot more obscure than like Iron Maiden. He was talking about like these people in Brazil, they're insane, they're crazy, they speak Portuguese, and they're singing all my lyrics in English. I love it. So Brazil's.
I mean, it's not uncommon to learn English there either, but it's still insane. But
for me, Rio.
In terms of newer bands, I'm always looking for new bands to listen to, and especially nowadays, I like to draw from a lot of different bands and a lot of different types of music if I can.
Yeah, both of those.
Even if it's different styles. My heart's mainly in rock and metal. That's what I tend to like. But, there's bands that I listen to that have influenced me that aren't rock and metal as well. Stuff like that I got introduced to at Berkeley as well, because Berkeley is a huge jazz school. So they listen to a lot of different things that are more jazz influenced, like Snarky Puppy, if you ever heard of them. They're pretty much like a modern jazz, like big band. They have like horns and stuff in their music, and they're awesome.
Thank you, Scientist.
And their guitarist is hugely influenced by Eddie Van Halen too, which I was surprised to find out when I went live and I saw him with a Van Halen shirt, and he's playing all these jazz licks, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like that's why. But so I'm always listening for new music, and there's like a lot of I just recently, honestly, probably like a year or two ago, I started getting to the more extreme side of metal, so I've been catching up in that front as well. Like bands like Opeth and Periphery is another one that he mentioned.
Ginger.
Ginger is a great band that I like. Tatiana is a crazy vocalist, and their riffs are awesome.
The Who.
The Who is weird.
The HU, not the Who.
Yeah, have you heard of them?
We love the Who from the, but
they're awesome. Like live is what sold me on them, because they have a cool live sound. Have you heard of them? They're a Mongolian metal band.
Really?
So they mix with essentially like metal and blues rock. Like they have a really bluesy vibe, but they all throat sing, and they all sing in Mongolian. And he doesn't really know how to speak English, but there's a few phrases that he learned, and it was just hilarious, but nobody cared. Like their music just moves you live. Like they have like traditional Mongolian instruments with a metal band, and they fuse it so well together.
Yeah, it's pretty
But
badass.
there's a lot of newer bands that I listen to. I guess depends on your definition of new too, right? Because I listen to a lot of the classic stuff. So System of a Down, for example, to me is a newer band,
or Muse,
but they've been around for like
right
20, they're almost 30 years.
Almost 30 years now.
Jeez.
But like the impact that they started having was in the mid 2000s, when I was a kid.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it on what the definition of new is, because I mean, to me, sometimes I'll catch something that maybe even's been out for a few years, but I haven't heard it before. It's new to me. So I might call it new, but other people
it's like,
I mean,
because a lot of people like
matter as long as it's good.
Things come out so fast nowadays that like if something is from 2 years ago, somebody will already consider it old,
Yeah.
Right.
And that to me, in terms of like musical history and like sound and evolution of things, like 2 years is extremely young,
Yeah, totally.
So, and bands like System of a Down, like, to me, they have such a unique sound.
Yeah,
that like they'll never get old, honestly.
Right.
Like no one will ever sound like System of a Down.
Dude, I mean,
that's like Van Halen. That to me, they never got old because they were so unique. There's only one Van Halen.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter what, who was a singer to me, or who was the bass player or whatever. Is if you got Eddie Van Halen playing, that's Van Halen. That's
Pretty
just
much.
a signature sound.
Oh yeah. Another huge band for both of us, I think, that I don't know if we've mentioned yet, but Ghost.
I mentioned them first.
They're a newer band. Their first album came out in 2010
or 2009 or 2000.
2009 or 2010. I mean, they're veteran musicians as far as we know now, especially since their identities got revealed.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, just some of them, just to bias as. Well, I mean, I guess some of the other ones.
Yeah, I think the whole
because
most of them were like an old band that they had together, and they just.
Yeah.
But Tobias Forge, he's a veteran musician.
And
he's been around for a while in the black metal scene in Sweden, I think.
Yeah.
And then Ghost isn't really black metal, but
they're actually one of the bands that one of the newer bands. So like when we formed them, 3 bands that I cited were like Rush, Led Zeppelin, Queen, in the sense that they would do anything. But newer bands that we were like, dude, we can kind of do something like that is Ghost is one of them, because you mentioned how Tobias Forge was heavy into the black metal scene in Sweden. Ghost does take heavier music and they mix it with
other stuff,
prog and pop and 60s psychedelic and classical, which we're all big fans of too. And they make it in a way so that people who think that they don't like metal or don't like rock, it's like a gateway drug for them. And we really, because like this kind of like, we want more people to love heavy metal and hard rock, because it's fucking awesome. And I think a lot of people get scared away, or they think it's just old, or they're just sort of like, they just don't understand like how awesome it can be. But a lot of people, when they hear a band like Ghost, and I mean, I had a few people who said this about our EP, which was flattering, who they're like, yeah, I don't really like rock, but I like that. And it's
that's one thing about when Michael was mentioning how for a while he questioned if he wanted to be a metal musician or be a musician because of the metal scene itself. It can be really toxic.
Yeah, at times it's elitist. Like, it's like, if you're not exactly like this and you're not metal, and you can fuck off,
I feel like part of the metal culture, especially nowadays, is polarization. Like, people want to polarize. And that's not really what we want to do. We want to invite as many people as we can to listen to our music, and that's a really hard task. Don't get me wrong. But that's personally the approach we want to take.
But without compromising the guts, though, Yeah,
we don't write our music thinking how can we have a hit, but at the same time we kind of especially with the way I write vocal melodies and try to deliver vocals. Even though my influences are probably my favorite vocalists are Freddie Mercury and Bruce Dickinson. I'm not like them, obviously. I mean, they're legendary, but in terms of how I approach vocals, I'm more of a I like the Foo Fighters a lot. I like vocals, a lot of punk vocals I actually relate to, because it's more about feeling and not that those obviously those singers have a ton of emotion and they're very polished and stuff, but there's a rawness to like punk inspired vocals in terms of the emotion and the way they word things that feels a little more real to me in a way. And I like to try to approach vocals that way. Like I try to mix the classiness and the polished aspect of those vocalists where they have like really well written melodies and really well performed vocals with the vulnerability of something like a punk band or a folk singer or something like that. And is what I try to do. I don't know if it's successful, but
well, and then that mixes well with like the lyrics that I tend to gravitate more towards writing, because it's like you were talking about vulnerability and stuff, and like the Long Goodbye or God to No One. There is like I try like I was saying before. I don't know if it was recorded, but I try to mix like the emotional intensity from like Iron Maiden songs like Children of the Damned or The Trooper or Passchendaele, where you're like, this may be talking about history or something fantastical, but I'm understanding that this happened to a real person. With like the Queensryche and Pink Floyd, where it's like, if you're not paying attention, it might seem like a pop song, but when you really listen to it, you're like, oh man, this is dealing with some heavy subject matters with like the aggression from like Judas Priest or Megadeth. But I think that's another thing that we work well with, like, because the way he wants to deliver his vocals and how I like to write the emotions for the lyrics, that when I write them, not that I write all the lyrics, but the ones that I gravitate towards writing.
When it comes to lyric writing, Michael usually has like a full draft of something, and then I'll come in and edit essentially. Yeah. And make it fit the vocal ideas that I have, or maybe be like, because one thing with vocals that I told him, it's like a band that I really love, and he can do it so well because he's him, but is Tool, right? James Maynard Keenan. I mean, the guy is fucking awesome. Like, he's super poetic. His lyrics are awesome, but that's not the type of lyrics I want to write, because I feel like if I did it, or we did it, when we try to do it, at least me, it comes off as arrogant, or pretentious, right? Yeah. And that's, like I was saying before, I like more of this sincere and more simple approach to vocals. Like, obviously I want it to be somewhat poetic, but like when I sing things that are more straightforward, more sincerely than I do all these, like, if I were to try to sing like Tool lyrics, like, it wouldn't come off as sincere, I don't think. That's something too with my personality, at least. With
Rush, which is one of my favorite bands. I love them. But Neil Peart, I loved his lyrics, and for most of the time he was able to like write lyrics that were really thoughtful and not preachy. But every once in a while there was a song, and even the greats can't do it all the time. And other people would say, oh, well, that's kind of pretentious or whatever. So it is hard to try to like I said, that's why I cited Iron Maiden, because it's like the most important thing is that there's like an emotional heft to whatever we're writing about, right? And that should be first and foremost, and any views or any story, it's like that's all secondary. But we're still pretty young in the writing process, and we're always changing. And for some on the album, some of the lyrics that we wrote, I had like a general idea, and I wrote like a rough draft, and then we just like 50-50. We were just like each coming up with like a new phrase. Yeah, and like we're like, okay,
perfect. I'd say like pretty much perfect evidence of how we differ with lyric writing, if we were to write our own lyrics, is read the lyrics to Break the Cycle versus the lyrics to God to No One. Yeah. Like Break the Cycle, I pretty much wrote all the lyrics to that.
You did write all the lyrics to that. I was like, dude, maybe don't say shit, because I feel like this could be a radio. This could like be on radio, and if you have shit in there, then maybe it would discourage. And you're like,
I was like, nah, I don't give a fuck.
And I was like, okay, I get it, bro. Like, I that's cool, but yeah. And then God to No One was pretty much all me, except you added on like the end of the chorus and the bridge. But yeah,
that's kind of like, if you want to compare how I think of lyrics versus how Michael thinks more of lyrics, those are two songs that you can look at and be like, okay, now I kind of know how it's pretty evident, like the style difference, you know.
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you never like. Not only would you not ever just by listening to it realize that it's like just the two of you on the EP, but just the fact that you've, I guess, essentially started going on 2 years now as a band, you sound much more experienced. I don't know if that comes across the right way, but like it sounds like you guys have been playing as a band a lot longer than just going on 2 years.
Oh,
thank you.
Yeah,
probably because we've known each other for so long.
Yeah, I think it's probably that's part of it in an esoteric way, you know, just our bond that we have as friends. We also, there's a lot of bands that we listen to that, you know, we both love.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, not to mention them over and over, but Iron Maiden, you know, there's bands like Angra that I introduced him to. If you haven't heard of them,
go check out Angra. They're friggin' amazing.
Well, Megadeth's new guitarist, right?
Kiko
Guerrero, he's from the band Angra, which is a Brazilian, like, power metal, like progressive metal band. And I obviously learned of them because I went to Brazil, and they're huge there. They're huge internationally as well, but U.S. never caught on to them. I think U.S. never really caught on to power metal in general.
Yeah, they do.
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
It's more of a European
and
thing.
South American thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot Brazilians listen, like Brazilian metalheads listen to a lot of power metal.
Hibira.
Yeah, Hybria. Yeah, that's another Brazilian metal band that's pretty cool. But Angra, Sepultura is the biggest metal name in Brazil, and then after that, it's Angra, essentially. So Sepultura is another band that I've been listening to. Like they're a classic band. I didn't used to listen to them, but their new stuff is crazy good, and their drummer is a beast.
Right.
But yeah.
But
what was the question?
Because why we play so well is because we're friends. And we share musical.
Also, taste. We both. I mean, like I said, I mean, we're both pretty dedicated to our craft. And at Berkeley, you know, I was in a band for a bit, and I had some band experience, and I was just playing all the time and interacting with musicians all the time, and that's how I got my practice, you know. Like we might have not been playing as a band together, but we've both been doing musical things
for a long time,
like even in different ensembles, right? Like I
played with a few different
for
people.
The longest time. Like for 8 years, I was in choirs. You know, at Berkeley, I was in a choir. That's not really a band, but I was still like playing. I was like performing with other musicians. You know, we did like collaborations with the Boston Symphony and stuff too. Yeah. So I was in a classical setting for a lot of my performances too, but playing with jazz bands, you know, as part of my study essentially too, and then being in a rock band that never really went anywhere, but you know, I was playing in a band in that setting for a bit, and we used to jam when we were kids too.
Yeah, we jam a lot, like on covers, songs, and then for me, like I used to. God, all throughout like middle school and high school, I used to play sometimes guitar like 8 hours a day practicing. Yeah. And I remember first couple of years of high school before I had a car, I had to walk about 3 miles to get to my guitar lessons. So after school, I would have a backpack, a guitar, be wearing black jeans and an Iron Maiden t-shirt, long ass hair. Oh man, I feel so bad for my guitar teacher because I must have reeked, you know, walking down there. So and then I'd get home and play for like 8 hours on a school night, you know, screw homework. I mean, I would do it. I would have, you know, I'd do it, but then I'd be like, yeah, whatever, I gotta play. And so, but like both of us, you know, we've just been playing for so long and we've known each other for so long that, you know, we've matured as musicians. And
and then at Berkeley, you know, I studied composition when I was there for film actually, so completely different. I kind of like strayed away from that, but a lot of what they teach you in that curriculum is like a technical side, like recording side, but as well as like composing and arranging stuff. I feel like that's a skill that a lot of bands get over time that they don't really they learn it by working with producers a lot of the times. So that's something that I think we have an advantage of, is that even though it wasn't in a metal setting, I have like arrangement and composition experience, which I think cuts the gap of, it makes us sound, like you said, more experienced than a lot of other bands who started, because one of the major things, whether people realize it or not, that separates like polished bands versus bands who aren't so polished is that experience of knowing how to put together a song.
The actual recording process
yeah, it's pretty much just knowing how to put together a song and knowing how to arrange things, knowing when to, play a certain guitar part, or when you can go crazy on the drums, or how to like put those things together. There's something that bands usually learn over time, just because in the metal and rock scene, I wouldn't say most, but a lot of musicians aren't formally trained in anything.
Yeah.
They have a lot of talent, a lot of cool ideas, and a lot of rawness, which is the appeal of rock and metal in the first place. So they, that's why producers and stuff like that were hugely important back then. Like, I think Def Leppard, they said that, like, pretty much Bob, was it Mutt Lange? Or was it Bob Rock?
Mutt Lange did Pyromania and Hysteria, and then maybe they worked with Bob Rock afterwards.
They cited him as pretty much a member of the band on Hysteria. Like he was a huge part in how the songs came out writing wise.
Yeah, Mutt Lange also produced, in my opinion, the greatest hard rock album of all time, Back in Black. Which, if you listen to like Highway to Hell versus Back in Black, I mean the Bon Scott era was great, but like Back in Black is just. I mean, it's just a step up. Dude, it's insane. I mean, AC/DC's new songs are pretty cool, but it's just, every time I listen to Back in Black from beginning to end, I'm just like, I mean, even their other stuff can't touch it. It's insane. It's incredible. But yeah, so
I think that's one of the reasons too, is just that, it's just being deeply invested in the study of music in general.
And
I think it's something that helps.
Yeah, also, neither one of us really has an ego. I mean, everyone has an ego, but like neither one of us is the type of person that if you say, hey, you can do this better, or we wouldn't take it as a personal.
Right.
We're just like, yeah, I can always do better, and I always want to learn. And, so both of us, since we've been playing for so long, since we've known each other for so long, and since we both just always want to keep getting better, I guess that goes into making it sound like we've been, we're a more established band than we are. And also the fact that we were in the same room recording it and, billionth time, like, let's go for the billionth take, so.
Yeah, that's a huge advantage as well, like with going back to being able to self-produce nowadays. Like, you don't have to pay for studio time. So if you need to spend more time on something to get something right, you can. And that's also a pitfall in terms of, like, getting things out, like, because a musician nowadays, if he wants, they can edit their music for years and never be satisfied with it.
Yeah, well, that's why you got at a certain point, you just got to be. I remember Brendan Small in an interview talking about when he was doing all the metal, the Death Clock albums. Just like he's like, dude, at a certain point, I just got to be like, I'm done. I'm putting it out there. I know there's a bunch of things I could have done better. But no one's gonna. 99% of people aren't gonna like point. They're gonna be focusing on the stuff you did right.
You that for the most part knows.
Yeah, so you just gotta get over that and just like
it's a dangerous thing, because that type of criticism and that type of mindset is what makes things better.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be satisfied. You don't want to be. You don't want to settle essentially on something that's okay.
But then you have to realize that at a certain point, it's like, well, dude, this is really good and it holds up, So, yeah, that's I guess like I said, we're both always just trying to get better and do it. So we by the way, thank you for the compliment, man. You've been very we appreciate it. Like, it's always great to hear someone really enjoy our music and every single time there's someone who, like, because it can be discouraging sometimes, just going in not a traditional career path or whatever. Right. So every single time I hear someone say something nice about my music, it like rekindles the fire that if.
I think you guys got like I was thinking about this last night too when I was listening to your stuff at work. I was like, man, you guys got a big future ahead of you. I think if it wasn't, especially just starting in 2019, like especially if it wasn't for like the whole COVID and stuff. I mean, for you guys kind of powering through the way you are, and it says a lot. But like if it wasn't for that, and you guys actually had maybe even a chance to play live and stuff, or you obviously there's advantages to that. But I kind of felt like when I was listening to your stuff, and then you guys coming on the show, is like I'm a little lucky in that sense, because I think maybe in a year or who knows when, you guys are going to be probably too busy to do the show. I was like, well, at least I got to meet him and talk to him.
Dude, that's really flattering. We appreciate it. And two, if we do succeed, we're not gonna be jerks. We'll always come. We're not gonna. I mean, unless we become multimillionaires, then I guess I'll move to Los Angeles and just have massive thing. But no, but seriously, we really, that's a really nice compliment, and we hope you're right, but we hope you're wrong that we would definitely come back.
I'll definitely have you guys back, and I really look forward to you guys coming to Tampa. I'd love to see you live when that day comes and whole COVID thing is over, and that's been a real draw to a lot of people. I think you can't go to live shows and stuff anymore, and that's a big gap for a lot of people, especially people in music.
Yeah, I think
artists
over, people will be like crazy going to concerts. I know, like last time Alice in Chains was here, I for some reason didn't go see them. I mean I've seen them before, but like someone's up, I was thinking to myself, like, God, dude, next year, I don't care even if it's a band that I'm not a huge fan of, I'm going to see them.
Yeah, hey man, I mean we go to if there's ever a concert in Tampa that we're going to, we'll hit you up if you want to go with us. Like, even if we're not performing, we'll hit you up to go see a concert.
Yeah.
I know Sepultura is going to Tampa. They were supposed to go to Tampa, but because of COVID, they had to delay it a year.
Man,
I really want to see that, but we'll see. I mean, I think it's in June or July. We'll see what things are like by then. But
I mean, I want to see Megadeth with Kiko. Megadeth was supposed to perform at the Scorpions, and then because Klaus a few years ago, Klaus had a strep throat. Megadeth canceled too, and I was like, come on, I wanted to see Kiko, but Tampa is like right now we're very lucky, because since we both have day jobs, we're able to put in money towards advertising, which is another thing that hopefully will kind of like give us an edge against other bands, is that so many bands have to put in so much money just to record something that by the time it's done, they don't have any, they don't have like a advertising plan. They're like, oh, I can't do this. So luckily, since we can record pretty much for free, the album will,
well, at the expense of my hairs, my stress.
But that's not me. Who cares? We've been putting money in consistently to advertising just in like our hometown of Orlando, but Tampa is the next one where we're gonna start putting out our tentacles. And now,
I mean, Tampa's only an hour away. It's like, it wouldn't be that complicated for us to figure out how to play there,
Yeah, just drive. So we hopefully in the future we will definitely be around in Tampa a lot. And that's cool. I didn't know you were in Tampa when we were talking. I was like, are you in the Eastern time zone? You're like, yeah, I'm in the Eastern time zone. I'm like, oh, cool. He's probably up in like Philadelphia or North Carolina or something. It's like, no, I'm in Tampa. That's cool.
Like, I don't know how I even came across you guys on SoundCloud, but that's the first thing I was like, oh, Orlando band. It's like, I always check out, that's one of the things I love about SoundCloud, is like you can catch all kinds of, stuff and all kinds of artists, and especially seeing our Orlando band. It's like, okay, let's check out this Manalith, and just right away it was just, I was like, man, they're really good. And then when I read the description, I was like, it just, two guys. I was like, how did they do that with just two of them? But so I just took a chance, hit you up, said, you want to come on the show? We're a newer podcast, and we wanted to get into like talking to guests, and especially musicians and stuff. So
I appreciate it. I mean,
you guys rearranging your schedule to come on the show is I know that was a big deal.
No, man, this is super cool, because like I'm on PTO right now, so I'm getting paid to do this for my so I can pretend that I'm like getting an appearance fee, and we're super rock stars already. But seriously though, thank you so much, because like this is our first podcast we've done, and like, you know, reaching out to us and just being like very complimentary towards the music. It really does mean a lot. And like, something, you know, you mentioned the Foo Fighters, another band that we want to emulate is sort of the Foo Fighters in a way that it's very like, you know, low key, like very like, you know,
grounded.
Just grounded. Just like, dude, we're all helping each other out. No one's better than anyone else, and you know, we're not. And so we really appreciate you inviting us on, and the fact that like we're your first like guest that you don't know is really cool. So we really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, now you know us.
Now you know us. Now we're bros. but
So I can. I was thinking. I know we talked via messaging about playing a song or ending with a song. So out of the three, if I were to do that, what song would you guys want to do for me to place at the end of the show, and kind of once you decide on that song, kind of tell us what that song was about and why you're choosing that song, all that.
Let me ask you a question. What was your favorite?
Yeah.
Oh man, I knew you guys were gonna ask that. And like, even this morning, before like while I was, you know, starting the Skype call and stuff like that, I was listening to three. It's like, man, if they ask me for a favorite, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pick. Because I mean, if I had to choose, it probably lean a little bit more towards The Long Goodbye out of the three.
Thank you.
But it's really hard to say because. Man, I can't remember which one SoundCloud starts off with, but even last night when I started listening, SoundCloud started off with God to No One. I was like, just the way that one starts off is like, I mean, your music, your lyrics, like but until today, obviously, I didn't realize that, you know, it was, you know, one guy wrote most of the lyrics to one song versus the other or anything like that. So like just listening to the words and the music, it's like, for me, it was hard to pick.
Yeah, we go with the old school approach, you know, like we write, like, you know, Van Halen, like a lot of the music was written just by Eddie, but they still put the whole band's credited in there, you know?
Yeah, like cause you wrote Break the Cycle all by yourself, pretty much.
Yeah, but I still, you know, me and him still pretty much share the credit 50-50.
Right. Yeah, and then for the other two songs, it was 50-50, so like, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, and we talked about this with the drummer who we may be working with, and like we're like, dude, like, you know, like once we realize someone, when we're inviting new band members in and we realize like, yeah, they're tight, it's just basically,
it's like everybody's contributing something, even if it's just a performance. Like without their performance,
it wouldn't be the same song.
Right. But in terms of what we would,
I guess, dude, we could, if you want, we could kind of like, I'd say either God to No One or The Long Goodbye, because I think that's I'd say. Because Break the Cycle is like a faster, punchier, but I think that those two songs, they have a mix of emotions. So
that's true. I think
more of a vibe of like where we're going, you know?
Yeah, I think God to No One and The Long Goodbye are a little more diverse in the sound. So either of those two is fine with us.
I mean, we can give you.
Do you want to decide, or would you?
Yeah, which
want to play Long Goodbye?
Out of those two, which one would you rather play?
Yeah.
Out of God to Nowhere and Long Goodbye?
Yeah. Putting you on the spot here.
Yeah. Like if I were to, if it was, I think as far as putting it, for me doing, you know, place where I'm gonna place on the show, if I'm placing that at the end, I'd probably say Long Goodbye. If I was gonna start this show with a song, I'd say start it with God to No One. But I mean, having to pick one, and if I'm gonna throw it at the end, I would probably say Long Goodbye then.
I guess
let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. And if you want, we can talk about Long Goodbye, and then we can talk about God to No One as well. And you can just decide what you want to do, you know, and then you have kind of like a story. So I guess The Long Goodbye, that was the first song we wrote when we decided to do this. After we were hanging out at the bar, and we went back to my house, and I had a chord progression. The C, A sus, G, kind of C with a G over it, and then the A sus again, going to A minor. I had that chord progression, but it was sort of more of like a different rhythm. It was kind of like the end of The Count of Tuscany by Dream Theater, and Alex kind of was singing these different melody ideas, and then I was like, that has an idea for the lyrics that I had bouncing around in my head for a while, which I can talk about more in a bit. But
yeah, I mean, it was pretty much he had that the guitar riff in the beginning of the song. He had like a idea to that, and I kind of just edited it and started coming up with vocal ideas, like he said, and then from there, I had a few ideas for the chorus for the heavier part. Once we started once he got the lyrics out, and we started working on the lyrics, and then we were starting like thinking as like, oh, this part could be really intense, especially with the way the lyrics are written. So I started came up with like that little guitar riff before the solo,
kind of like the Spanish guitar.
Yeah, and all that, and then we just put things together. It came kind of naturally.
Yeah.
I mean,
because
it was fast, but like
we were both kind of like were having like the same ideas. Like you would say something, like I was just thinking that, where I'd say something like, I had that idea too, and
we kind of just played off of each other's ideas until we had a full song.
And the lyrics, I'd really like to talk about that for a second, because I'm really proud of those lyrics. I kept writing them, and I'd bring them to Alex, and he would kind of like edit them because he'd be like, this doesn't fit with this melody, and I'd go back and write and come back. And years ago, I was watching this HBO series called The Pacific, which is like Band of Brothers. It was World War II in the Pacific, produced by like Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks, and with all interviews from the guys who were really there. And it was really sad because they had interviews with the family members, and the wife of one of the guys who fought in the Pacific, who had died before the series came out, she was saying like, her and her kids were saying like, yeah, he had Alzheimer's the last couple years of his life, and even though he had forgotten his wife and his kids and everything, he would still start saying stuff that happened to him over in World War II, and that memory never left him. So that's obviously heartbreaking and really sad. Right. So I started thinking about like, how would like an old woman who has to watch someone who she built her whole life with disappear like that kind of react. And I saw an article that said The Long Goodbye, talking about Alzheimer's, and then that was sort of the basis of it. And for lyrics with me, like love songs, I really don't like them. I don't hate them, but there's too many of them. And when you have like songs that are about love and everyone's saying it, it really cheapens the value. So that song, it's sad, but it
unless you're Whitesnake, then you can write like 30 hits.
Whitesnake, no, exactly. But I feel like that song and those lyrics, and credit to Alex for like telling me, nah, this isn't good enough, you got to go back, and I kept going back and editing. I feel like and I was kind of changing them up. I feel like it's those lyrics are the most personal, and I was able to like tap into feelings of loneliness for myself, and it's basically a love song, but without saying I love you, So,
right.
And then how it builds from starting off soft to like by the end it's pretty intense. I think that's our best song. I mean, out of the three, but I love them all song chain. But it's definitely the one that shows the most progression, and I like how the music matches the lyrics and building up an intensity. So
yeah, I mean that was the toughest song to, I say, produce as well, just because how different the sections are and the different intensities, and there's also a little bit of orchestration on it.
Yeah,
backing vocals.
Yeah, and like all these backing vocal ideas, like the System of a Down inspired like
Arabic
like vocal improvisation things.
Which, by the way, he improv that on the spot, and then he double tracked. I was sitting here watching. I was like, "Damn, dude, that was
yeah, I mean,
that's a long goodbye."
Yeah, and I think something I remember about the lyrics is that even though it had that specific inspiration, those specific inspirations, I wanted it to be a little bit open to interpretation as well. Because, for example, even though I can empathize with the backstory of the song, I mean, I haven't had that experience,
Yeah.
So for me to convey the emotion, I had to think of things in my own life that maybe resembled that a little bit. And
I mean, we
stuff,
can all relate to loneliness and
stuff,
missing people who aren't there.
Yeah, like stuff like my grandfather's death and stuff are things that I tapped into personally to try to bring out that emotion.
Yeah.
But
and And when I was writing the lyrics too, like even though I didn't have that experience, but I'd had like my dad's death or missing just like a lot of people who you miss along the way who you don't get to see as often, so. But that's a long goodbye.
Yeah.
Do you want to...
very cheery, right?
Yeah. Geez. Geez. Yeah. I apologize if I was I wanted to give. I wanted to say that because I wanted to give that World War II veteran and his family. I wanted to remember them and be like, hey, that was the inspiration. So. But do you want us to talk about God to No One for a bit too?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you can.
Ooh. So I guess for God to No One, we wanted to have a heavier song because that was the second song we started writing after The Long Goodbye, and I was messing around in Drop D, and I came up with the intro. He added in the fast, super fast, machine gunning second guitar part. That's kind of like a death metal vibe, and I was messing around one day in Drop D, and I came up with that main riff, and I was just like, okay, I gotta call Alex, and it was hard to find the right tempo to set it at because if it was too slow, it'd be too plodding. If it was too fast, it would lose its groove. So it was a bit of a challenge. The riff itself is easy and simple and just thundering, but it was a challenge finding the right speed to play it at so that it was still grooving and heavy and not. But obviously, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, Black Sabbath.
Ozzy,
yeah, Candlemass,
Metallica.
Yeah,
I mean, I think I tapped into a little bit of my Hetfield influence vocally on that song.
Yeah, and then the chorus kind of has a bit of an Iron Maiden part with the harmonies for the dun 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 dun. But you want to say stuff about that?
Yeah, I mean, it was honestly The Long Goodbye was kind of similar to. The way we wrote it was similar to almost the same as A Long Goodbye.
Yeah, we're just playing off, and he had the chorus riff. And
he had the main riff, the da da ba da dum ba 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 na na, and I thought it was cool because it's a simple riff, but it's kind of it's like that Smoke on the Water type thing. It's simple, but it makes you bang your head, At least for me, it did, and I was like, okay, cool. How can we expand on this? And I honestly don't remember, but the ideas just came and
when we were coming up with the verse, I remember we were both like, yeah, dude, let's kind of palm mute it and kind of keep a similar riff, because I think one of us mentioned "Hollow" by Alice in Chains, and the orchestration of it really came along naturally because we were both kind of playing off each other and just being like, yeah, this is good. We were both thinking similar things.
I also wanted to. Because with a riff like that, and not that this is a bad thing, but I didn't want it to end up being
boring,
like a basic hard rock song. I kind of wanted to mix it up a bit and throw some things that someone might not expect after hearing that riff. So with the chorus, I guess you'd say the God to No
that's
One.
The chorus.
Yeah, the Lost and Damned. Yeah, I kind of wanted to throw in some different rhythms in there and some different chords to kind of spice it up.
And the second verse,
I think it ended up turning out pretty proggy, actually, that song. If you really think about it.
Mason said he thought it reminded him of Dream Theater, so I guess that's. The second guitar parts for the second half of the verses, that was all Alex, and I really like just the chugging riff in the second part and adding in the backing vocals. That was a lot of Alex's idea, and. We were just we just kept, when we were recording that one, we kept kind of adding parts to it.
Michael is really good at just dishing out ideas, and then I usually I'm pretty good at expanding it and arranging it and stuff. So that's kind of our dynamic, honestly. Not just for lyrics. That's kind of how everything works essentially.
Yeah, well, I mean, we have a couple of different processes.
Musically, when it comes to the music. There's a little more contribution from my side in terms of initial ideas.
Yeah.
Just because that's usually how that's how my ideas come out. I just think of music and play all the time.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean that's pretty much a lot. I think our strengths. I'm good at nurturing ideas.
Yeah, and I don't take it personally. Like if it's like that idea's not good, I'm like, okay, I'll put it back there. You know, I got a bunch more we can toss out. We both have, you know, creativity, so
yeah, it's part of my overthinking.
Yeah,
I like it. I'll just think about something and think about all the different ways we can play it and how it's gonna sound on a record. And then,
but that's good, dude, because that's a big thing of how we were able to sound like that. And with the lyrics with that too, speaking of like not overthinking, I was really flattered because after we did The Long Goodbye and you know, Alex was like editing my lyrics and I would go back and write more and then come back and like this and that. I pretty much just gave Alex my first draft of God to No One, and he was like, okay, that's good, I really like it. And he added on the end of the chorus because the chorus was going on longer than I thought it would.
Yeah,
so
there was I think the only
I was like, thank
the
you.
only major contribution I had lyrically on that was the soft part.
Yeah, after the solo. Originally I had something about like wolves eating each other and getting the point.
And I was like, this is too try hard, man. This is like this looks like.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to like kind of like reference like I kind of wanted to reference. I wanted the idea of like that, you know, when you have a person leading a bunch of hate-filled people for his own agenda, his or her own agenda, like a Jim Jones type person or something. It's like you're all going to end up devouring each other eventually, and so with his soft part right before the Your Divinity crashing down, it got the same point across, but it wasn't as I guess I like it because the wolves eating each other and stuff is more heavy,
because you know the that was the only thing, like the initial lyrics, like in that part especially, it kind of reeked of like the typical metal, like death, blood,
yeah. Well, that's something we never want.
Fuck yeah.
Oh my god, that reminds me of this episode of Metalocalypse. Nathan Explosion is in the recording booth, and he's just like they're having to record demos for the next Death Clock album. He's like, falling down, hurt myself real bad. Oh man, that fell down the stairs. like we never want to be again, we love metal and we love it, but we never want to be just right. We don't want to be metal, like just have cliche metal lyrics that aren't really saying anything, for the sake of being brutal. And we never also want to lose our sense of humor. But yeah, so that's God to No One, and I took the solo on that. Alex came up with the ending riffs, which were boss. I remember when we were recording that. That's the one part on the EP where it's just you for the outro riff of God to No One. Because that riff is, I mean, I got it now, but it's tricky when you're kind of like coming out on the spot. And I was like, bro, you just recording. He's like, okay. So the one part that I'm not also there. So I exposed myself. I'm sorry.
Yeah, dude, you didn't need to sell yourself like that.
Yeah, I'm a slacker. But
no, but there's just stuff on that, on the spot. Like Michael didn't even know, like in Break the Cycle, for example. There's like at the end, there's like back-end lyrics singing different words too while the chorus is going on, and he didn't even know about that till like the next day because I came up with it after he left.
Yeah, because like when you're the producer,
there's just stuff that comes on the spot that like you just get it done, and we'll figure it out later. So
yeah, and we actually had a couple of different you had a few different mixes and different versions of each of the songs too, right?
Kind of, to a degree. I didn't want to get too crazy with it because we were trying to
just get it out there.
But I didn't want to make too many decisions for myself.
Yeah.
Post writing.
Yeah.
Right. So.
But yeah, that's God to No One, and yeah, man.
Are you guys looking at the full length album?
Sometime next year.
Yeah.
We don't want to give a definitive date, but it will be out sometime next year. I mean, we originally wanted October this year, then maybe early next year, but 2020 kept 2020ing us.
Yeah. So, but it's gonna continue a little bit into 2021 as well. It's inevitable. So we don't really know, but
before the end of the year, though.
Next year, it'll be out probably late next year. We don't know, but I mean, we'll try to get it out as early as we can.
Are you guys looking at like iTunes and stuff like that as well?
Yeah, well, we're on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, because we have the online distributor DistroKid at Pandora, pretty much any streaming
It's
service.
on every major streaming service right now, the EP at least.
Yeah, and we also are on Bandcamp too. If people want to like support us directly, you
can. I think
there.
it's contribution, right?
Yeah, and if not, that's fine. You can listen to it for free. But yeah, we'll be on all the streaming platforms and Bandcamp and SoundCloud, and we're looking into like all the avenues we can do too. I mean, I think we'll probably print out like physical copies for the album too, but those physical copies are dead. But people want to, like, when we're finally doing shows and stuff, people want to support us that way as well. And we'll probably have to start looking into merch, but yeah, we're on all this. We'll be on all the streaming platforms pretty much, even a bunch I haven't heard of.
Yeah.
So vinyl would be cool. I don't know how bands can do that nowadays, but vinyl.
Yeah, I don't.
If we get some funding, maybe, and if there's demand.
If there's demand, that'll be. I mean, we got to start gigging first, and seeing how the response is, and then we'll definitely look into T-shirts and merch and stuff. I mean, that's something that Iron Maiden and Ghost they know super well, is advertising, like, and merchandise. Like Iron Maiden, they have Eddie plastered all over the place. With Ghost, they have Papa or Cornucopia plastered all over the place, and they don't just have shirts; they have wallets and masks and costumes and everything.
We're definitely gonna have cool shirts at some point, at least. So.
Yeah. Probably. By the time the album's out, sometime next year, we will have hopefully we'll have enough so that we can whet people's appetites. But it's all right now. It's all up in the air and do it ourselves. But we will have the album out sometime next year. We just don't know when.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
music comes first.
The music.
Doing what you're doing, and I think the rest will follow for sure.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we really appreciate that, Mark. Like I said, it's always flattering to have people give us that encouragement, and it's, I joke, I'm like, man, I wish I was that confident. I said, well, I am. We appreciate it, and it really does help us keep going and give us that drive. So thanks, man.
Yeah, man. Well, I appreciate you guys taking the time out and rearranging your schedules and everything to come on too.
Dude, thanks for having us, man.
Yeah,
this is, I mean, dude, the fact that someone wants to talk to us about our music, it's awesome. Like it's it's our first podcast, and we had a lot of fun. It was awesome, man.
Right, yeah. No, I mean, and that was the original idea when I started the kind of podcast, and that was the idea, was to talk about any kind of artistry, really, whether it's film or a painter or music or any kind of artist, talk about that type of stuff. But it really just being a musician myself and being into music and all that, it was basically centered around music. So it took a while it's been, I mean, you guys know it's a learning process. I've never done a podcast before too. So we're about 15. We're just now starting to get kind of where the idea was. And I feel like we finally are getting there now that we have artists like you guys on the show. So it's like, it's getting there. So.
Yeah, man.
Bro, we're excited to see how it keeps going, man. Like, I mean.
Yeah.
And dude, by the way.
Hopefully we can be back at some point too.
Oh yeah, hope so. Definitely.
Yeah,
Welcome back anytime.
Oh, yeah. Awesome, man. Well, dude, and I'll definitely follow you. I found you on Instagram. I'll give you a follow there. And you mentioned films. I love the Star Wars Han Solo, the picture there. We both love movies and all kinds of art. So
have you seen the Rick and Morty parody of that scene? No. Or is it Rick and Morty? I don't know. There's a parody of that scene that's hilarious.
Oh,
where the sons in the background are just like yelling constantly.
Oh yeah, that's Rick and Morty when they're fleeing from the government, so then they're trying to find a new home, and it's like they find this perfect place. Like, man, this place is perfect. The sunrise is coming up, and just like a baby face son screaming constantly. But yeah,
so stupid. That's so funny.
Dude, I was watching some old Futurama recently. Like from the first few seasons, I was like, man, this is freaking hysterical. Especially like the episode where Zoidberg goes back to mate and Fry's helping him get it's awesome. And of course mentioned Scorsese before. Freaking love that guy. So all art is amazing,
Thank you again as well, Mike.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, guys.
So I guess stay metal and stay safe, man. And hopefully we'll come out to Tampa. Yeah. Hopefully we'll be able to come out to Tampa sometime soon.
I'm disappointed. Daughter didn't ask us a question.
Yeah, why'd she not ask about Opeth or Gojira?
But yeah, stay safe, man.
Yeah.
All right, thanks. You guys too. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks for having us on.
Welcome.
Yeah, it was really fun, man.
You'll be here tomorrow, but there'll be less of you that I can see. Memory slips while your heart still beats. You'll be alive tomorrow, but won't remember me. Oh, can't you hear, can't you feel me now? I see your face, but the one I loved is gone, is gone. Wandering aimlessly, afraid and lost in a hole. Like the life we built never existed. With a broken